Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, March 4th, 2024. I know I missed last week, and I apologize for that. I had an event that I go to every year, and it's kind of a fundraising event, and I've been doing it for like 10 years now. And I completely forgot that I had a live stream going. And at the last minute, I realized that we were at the event, and somebody said, "Hey, it's almost time for almost 7 o'clock. We're going to start doing this." And I'm like, "Oh no, 7 o'clock!" So I got on YouTube and I kind of just made a comment that I wasn't going to be available. So I apologize for not making it last week for the live stream. Hopefully, y'all had something to entertain you for the hour or so that I normally would have been here, but I'm back this week. There are some good things going on at the shop, obviously, and a lot of that is to do with the Mach 1 Cobra Jet. I also had some things that popped up just because I try to go for a walk at least once a day if I can, maybe a mile or two, maybe three, depending on how I'm feeling. And I started doing that after I had that surgery, and now I just want to maintain that because I can't run anymore apparently. But anyway, I had a neighbor up the street. He was looking for me, and he saw me walking, and he stopped me and he had me come over and look at some vehicles that he had. And so the first thing he wanted me to look at was an 87 Chevy Silverado, long bed, and it had dual tanks on it. Really a really nice truck. Overall, it looked really nice. It only had like, I don't know, 65,000 miles on it or something. And he wanted me to look at it because he couldn't get it to stay running. And I don't know enough about the throttle body stuff as to what may or may not be wrong with it. And I don't know that I want to mess with it too much. But I said if it were my truck, because there's no longer emissions testing on that truck, I would pull that intake manifold carburetor off of it, or the throttle body, just put an Edelbrock carburetor on it, aluminum intake, and put an electric fuel pump in it, and maybe bypass the electric pump in the tank so that it had a regular pickup tube style feed. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that or not, but the other reasons that he wanted me to stop by was he had a car that he had bought brake rotors and pads for, and he wanted those replaced, which turned into a valve cover gasket. And then he also has another car with brake light problems, and he has some old tractors that he wants to do some stuff with. And so it was a good conversation. I did manage to take care of the brakes and the valve cover, and I'm going to try to work on the other car as soon as I can. But I'm trying to focus on the Cobra Jet as much as I can. Now I say all that because I'm going to take those opportunities. If I've got somebody that needs some maintenance done, I am open to that because it makes some money and it keeps me afloat, let's say. And so I also had another person contact me. They needed brakes on their car, which turned into an oil change on their other car. And again, I'm going to take advantage of those situations. But yeah, things are going pretty good on the Cobra Jet. And, I finished up last week. I welded the roof on. And I say 2 weeks ago, I welded the roof on. And last week, I worked on putting in the trunk latch bracket, which I detailed the problems with that, and also putting in the seat risers. And that all went very well. I'm happy with it. As you can see, I have turned the car around, and I'm beginning to test fit and mock up and measure pieces up front so that I can get the aprons on and the core support. And I was messing with these today, these little brackets here that you can see, and I wanted to bring something up with these. And I guess it's not too difficult, but when you look at this is an original one, right? And it has holes here where they drilled it off of the apron, and then they must have cut out the cowl, and then back drilled these to get these out. To get spot welds broken loose, right? Well, I was looking at this and I'm thinking, there must be, it would be really cool to see a video on them actually doing a complete assembly of one of these cars. all of the pinch welds, all the spot pinch weld tools, because ideally that cowl, for them to do these spot welds, they had to go inside the cowl and use a tool to get in there. And of course, I'm going to plug weld this, but I was just looking at that thinking, they must have had all kinds of different shaped prongs or whatever to get into different spaces. But this is lining up pretty nicely. I'm very happy with that, and I'll be getting a lot of this stuff taken care of this week. So that'll be the next video in the series. Also, I will point out I have a video I'm working on. I've already done all the filming for the Arc Captain Cut 50 plasma cutter. So that's going to be another video. Might be out, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or Wednesday, but just to do a demonstration unboxing type of video on that as well. And I didn't even mention, if you're new to my channel, I skipped ahead on a few steps here. If you're new to my channel, we do this on Monday nights talking about what I say classic cars, and to me that's like mid 50s up until late 70s now, because that's kind of the era that most of us remember and enjoy. So we try to talk about those, and if you are interested in participating, by all means, ask me some questions, and if I can answer them, I will, and if I can't, I usually have a great group of people over in the chat box that will help out with all that. And of course, I give out a free bell to anybody that participates. Okay, now that I've got the main subject matter out of the way, let's see who's here tonight. First in is Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everybody. And that is my official notice to take a drink of coffee when Rick shows up. So glad you're here, Rick. There's a bell for you. Second, Rick Kane. Yes, we missed last week. So we're supposed to get 2 junkyard stories. Glad you're here, Rick. This may or may not be relatable to the junkyard stories. But do you ever have those dreams where something is irritating you or something is causing conflict? I had one of those dreams last week, and it woke me up. And it's one of those dreams where you get mad. And we're so dumb to this, right? We end up having a dream. Let me tell you what the dream was. Basically, the town that I grew up in and the junkyard, the mailbox for the junkyard is half a mile away from the house, away from the junkyard. It was half a mile away. We either drove out or walked out to get the mail. And that was fine. Coming home, we'd drive past the mailbox, pick it up, and it's an easily identified mailbox. It's kind of like my dad used to take wheels and stack them up and weld them together, and it had the mailbox on top of it. And so everybody knew that was our mailbox. So in this dream, again, this is sort of junkyard related. In this dream, the city council or whatever decided they didn't like that mailbox, and they were going to take it away and get it out of there. Now, mind you, we no longer have the junkyard. I say my brother's widow. I'm being cautious here. She took possession of that after he passed away unexpectedly, and she sold all that stuff. She sold everything. Sold all of his property. Sold all of his possessions. Sold the property away from us. So we don't even have connection with that anymore, unfortunately. So here I am having this dream about them taking away our mailbox, and I'm mad. I am so mad. And I wake up and I'm like, I'm wanting to fight somebody because I'm so mad about this. And then I'm laying there, and you've probably done this too. It's like, wait a minute, I don't have any skin in this fight. It's not even my fight. And yet, you see where I'm coming from. It's one of those things. It's pointless. It's a dream. And I have these on occasion, various times, where I have to like calm myself down in the middle of the night. I'm getting frustrated or angry about something, and I'm sitting there going, you know what? This is just a dream, and it's just your mind playing games with you. So there's sort of a junkyard story for you. Dave Tyson, good evening all. Evening, Dave. That's our first Dave sighting. Glad you're here. Terry Keithley, evening, Barry, and everyone. Please hit the like and thumbs up. Thank you kindly. Yes. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Robert is checking in. Infernal Craftsman, evening all at the airport, so I will miss some stuff here and there. Okay. Glad you're here, Robert. Appreciate you. Rusty's Restoration. Good evening, Barry, and all from Southern Indiana. Give a thumbs up. Yes, by all means, give a thumbs up. Nandu, good evening, all. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Nandu. And yes, I am doing pretty well, other than these weird twisted dreams that I have in the middle of the night. Hindsight 6-7, Roger checking in from next door. Glad to hear Raj. Roger did get a cameo in the roof install, so appreciate that. Ed Cucciarella, hello all. Hello, Ed. Glad you're here. Troy Justin, good evening all. Spring is here in coastal Georgia, and so is the yellow pollen. That is very true. I walked outside the other day, and I could smell the Bradford pear trees. Yeah, you can smell that. They have distinct smell on the pollen from the Bradford pear trees. And yes, spring is here because I took down the blue wall that I had. My insulation blankets, they're now off the wall. And I've been able to open up the door and get some sun in here, get some fresh air, and that's a good feeling. That is a good feeling. I really like it to be warmer. Jerry's Garage, the Money Pit. Hello from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up. Yes. Thank you, Jerry. Randall is checking in. Hi from snowy Utah. Ooh. Yeah. You can have my share too. You can have it all. Glad you're here, Randall. Derek Pro. Hey, Barry, everyone. Hope all is well. Fantastic work on the Cobra Jet. Looking awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's been, well, I've been doing a lot of grinding. When I start doing something, or as today I moved it around, and I was doing, I go through kind of a prep sequence. So I want to make sure I have the panels, and I want to make sure every piece is ready for me to kind of do the video on. And so I would work on that a little bit, and then I would go grab the grinder and start knocking down welds. And I've gotten most of them taken care of. I think I'm down to just a few on the back, pinch weld at the top of the back window. And then there's all the ones on the interior, which are secondary, but they still need to be addressed. So it's coming along nicely. You know, it's funny. I got to show you this. Hold on just a second. I was in my demonstration video today. I took the plasma cutter, the new plasma cutter, and I was looking for sacrificial metal. I wanted something I could cut with it, and I found some stuff that was very good for the demonstration. Now, this is a piece of pipe. Wall thickness, it's at least an eighth, maybe a little bit better than that, you know. And so I did a cut on this, but the funny part is, if you look at this side, I don't know how well this shows up in the imagery. This pipe was welded into a stock car. Not by me. Not by me. So I held on to this because it's a car that Roger actually drove. And somewhere along the line, we have a picture of Tony Stewart drove this car at a small track, and basically it was just to run the track in. It had rained that night, and he volunteered to get in the car and drive it. So it's kind of funny when I see these are orange pipe that was used, and the welds. If that car had gotten hit, I think most of it would have folded up. I just couldn't believe it when I pulled out that pipe, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just a bunch of nothing. Anyway, we'll go on from there. Let's see. Amateur Hour Restorations, good evening all. Get ready for the arm workout with the spot welder. Yeah, there's a few things I'm going to use that spot welder for. And, you know, funny thing is, I had somebody else offer me a spot welder, a used spot welder. It's like, originally, I think they said it sold for like $11,000. And it's probably 20 years old and had been barely used. And they said, hey, I'll sell this to you. Yeah, but they still want $2,000 for it. So I just can't justify the cost. But it would be nice to have one of those to do this kind of stuff that I'm doing. But yeah, there will be maybe some curls working with the spot welder. So thank you for being here. Amateur Hour. Jerry is checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. Robert had to make a long walk for a gate change, and he didn't even fuss. This this just might be a good day. Robert, I just had dinner, so I wasn't hungry enough to gripe. Oh, there you go. That's a good thing. And she says truth. Let's see. 69 Stang. Hi, everyone. Hi, 69. Glad you're here. The Dawn checking in. Hello, everyone. Awesome weather in upstate New York. Great to hear Robert wasn't hangry. Hooked on Classic. Simone is checking in from the UK. Hi, everyone. Hello, Simone. Glad you're here. Yeah, and actually, I didn't mention Derek Pro when we had him earlier. He's checking in from the land down under. So, Australia. Brandon Reisinger. Good evening, all. Good evening, Brandon. Glad you're here. Richard Vogel. Good evening, Barry. Great to have you back. Thank you, Richard. I'm glad to be here. Let's see. Faith Followers Customs. Good evening, all from East Alabama. Thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Yes, by all means. Thank you. Jerry's talking to the Dawn. Sebastian De Silva. Good evening to everyone. Well, good evening to you, Sebastian. Glad you're here. I forgot where you checked in from. Richard, Barry beat up his pillow during his junkyard nightmare. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And you know what's crazy about dreams or nightmares or whatever? Those are all in your head. Because half of your brain creates that dream or whatever, and the other half of your brain receives it, interprets it. So you're having this like internal explosion going on in your head. And I mean, I've had some crazy dreams. And that one wasn't the worst. I've had some that are a lot worse than that. But it's all in your head. You're doing this to yourself. Nandu, I think a lot of us have strange dreams. Yes. Robert, fortunately it wasn't 95 today like it was last Monday. Yeah, that's a good sign. Yeah, today we were around 66 degrees for a high. And I was looking at the weather earlier, and it looks like, I mean, we're going to be 50s, 60s, 70s. Maybe Monday is showing a low of 37, though. So maybe the last gasp at winter. But we'll get through it. Richard Byrne, good evening, Barry. The Mach 1 is looking good. Thank you, sir. Simone, I like the hole punch you have for the welding, Barry. I need to buy a joggler. A joggler. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that hole punch is really good. I was surprised that it punched through those seat pans. Because that's thicker metal, and it did it. So I'm happy with it. Stefan, hi from Bucharest, Romania. Hello, Stefan. Glad you're here. I recently did a Viewers Project update video with Stefan. Awesome stuff. He sent me some videos. He just sent me a video, in fact. And if you haven't followed him on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, he had just sent me a, well, hold on just a second. Let me find it. He sent me a video. Whoop. Hold on. I'm going too fast. Quit clicking the buttons. And I'm not sure what this video is, but it's Christian Stefan. And the recent videos he's been posting have been of like various multiple Mustangs over there. And so it's really cool to see that. It is really cool to see that stuff going on. You know, that people are over there enjoying the Mustangs. And oh, there he is. He sent me the live stream. He's watching it with his dog. That's pretty cool. Thank you, sir. But yeah, give him a look if you're not already on Instagram and are not following him. It's a lot of fun seeing all the stuff he's doing over there. Simone, I need a handheld spot welder. Oh yeah, those are nice to have too. Derek Pro, amazing how our mind works and things we dream about. I'm something, but can't mention. Oh, I don't know. Oh, maybe I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but can't mention some dreams. Okay. Roger, I did actually get it right behind the driver's door once. I will never know how it didn't just fall to pieces around me. I didn't weld it either. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, talking about the race car. I mean, whenever I took that, because I had helped him, I think we scrapped that car or something, and I salvaged these pipes out of there because I'm always salvaging metal. And if I remember, these just like came loose. Like you just broke one end loose and the other end popped right off. So yeah, it was a scary configuration. Michael Pagliarini, hello all, late to the party, tearing down the C4. Awesome. Good for you. Abe Godino, hello everyone. Hello Abe, glad you're here. Art Fiberglass, hi Barry, just checking in from Chile, Sweet Home, Oregon. All right, that's awesome. Art Fiberglass, that's a different name. I'm assuming you do something with fiberglass. I'm going to reach out and assume that. Abe Godino, thinking of looking for a Mach 1. You know, I don't know how scarce they're getting. I really don't. I heard, and maybe I'm mishearing things or something, Peterson Restorations. My understanding, somebody had said they don't do customer cars anymore. It's almost as if they're just building cars now or finding rust buckets and rebodying them, basically, and then selling the things. That's kind of what I'm hearing. So I don't know the availability of these cars anymore. I will say that if I find another one, I don't want one that's as good a shape as the Mach 1 that I have. I have one now. But if I find another one that was a rust bucket like this and I can get it for the right price, I'll probably buy it. If nothing else, just to have good VIN numbers for the potential build in the future. So yeah, I don't know what the availability is, but it would be great to have multiples of these at this point because everybody seems to want one. Lawrence T. McGillicuddy, do you have any suggestions for switching a 6-cylinder front suspension to a V8 suspension and adding disc brakes on a 66 Mustang Coupe? That's a good question. Thank you. Well, I know that the 6-cylinder cars have the weaker spindles. Okay, so at the minimum, you're going to need to upgrade the spindles and put in, your disc brake setup. Now, what I did on the 68 car, I have Jade. I used, and I can't think of the name. It's four letters for the company. But it came with everything that I needed to put it together, and I'm sure somebody can come up with that name. But that's the problem with the 6-cylinder stuff is the spindles themselves are a lighter duty, so they're not meant to be supporting a V8. But basically, you could put in the suspension. I mean, the control arms and all that should be the same. If you want to, go ahead and upgrade them. They're not that expensive. You can get new ones with ball joints already in them and all that stuff, and save yourself some effort. But that's the biggest thing is making sure you have the spindles upgraded, and then of course in the rear you're gonna have to either change the whole differential or do some upgrades there. But that's really the biggest thing about it is the spindles are weaker. So, but there's plenty of information out there, and I can't think of the name of that company at the moment. I did a video on it on the Jade Mustang, and I talked about the company, and they do a pretty good job of selling those kits. So you may be able to go back and look at one of those earlier videos on Jade. I can't tell you what the number is in the series, but have a look at those. Randall, great timing. A few minutes ago, my wife was asking what the Patreon charge on a credit card was, and you were saying hi to Randall in Snow, Utah. No more questions about Patreon charges. Awesome. Yeah, I really can't say it enough. I appreciate everybody who is helping me out on Patreon. It's just such a good thing to have, because even now, even though I'm getting great views on this stuff, it's still not very good on YouTube. It's just not. And I do appreciate it. I really do. So thank you, Randall. Abe Godino, a basket case. Any idea what I can get one for? That is a good question. I was looking on Marketplace last year, and I could have picked one up, had all the numbers on it. It was a basket case, and they were selling it for like $1,500, $1,800. But my timing wasn't right, and I just couldn't get it. So they're out there. Now, that car needed everything, but just know that. I know that I've seen several 69 coupes popping up. If you want to go that route, if you want to build it as an original Mach 1, that's one thing. If you're wanting to build it yourself and turn it into a fastback, then no big deal. You can do that and just use the VIN numbers for the coupe and drive it. So I don't know what the going rate is right now on any of the Mach 1s. I have seen some that I think there's an Instagram HB Mustangs or something, and they're selling stuff that is just rusty, bad shape, and they're asking $20,000 for these things. So it's really hard to find the right one. And I know when I found the one that I bought, I feel like that was the right one for me. I knew I had to buy that car as soon as I saw it pop up on Marketplace. Crash Rider, hello from Southern Indiana. Please hit the like button for Joe Daddy, as it may help alleviate some anxiety and mental stress causing nightmares and memory loss. It might. Rick, where can we get one of those hole punchers? I don't really need it, but it would be fun to play with. I have links to all the tools that I'm using, whether it's the R Captain Evolution Power Tools. There's Amazon links in my video descriptions. If you go underneath there, there's an Amazon link for the hole punchers, and there's a link for the R Captains and all that stuff. So you can look there if you want. I think I probably also listed it on my main Amazon page, so you might be able to go that route as well. Good question. Robert, there's a link in his Amazon store. It may be out of stock, but there are others. I think it was an 8mm hole. Yes, that is correct. Thank you, Robert. Steve Reed. Hello, Joe Daddy and everyone. Here in Paducah, Kentucky. Today, 75 degrees. Glad to hear, Steve. I know we had sent some emails back and forth. I don't know if you were still interested or not in that quarter panel. If not, that's fine. I can probably sell it locally, but I just wanted to bring that up while you're here. Christian, there are quite a few Mustangs here in Bucharest. We occasionally meet to work on them and order pizza. Well, that's perfect. That is perfect. Derek says, sorry. Yes, it was sorry. Auto spell. Yeah. Well, I just read what I see, and it's like, let me do some math here and figure out what that is. Rick Gain, I wouldn't want a car built by Peterson. I would want one built by Joe Daddy. Well, thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. Christian, also, no ketchup. What? No ketchup on the pizza because we already got WD-40. Okay. Ketchup on pizza? You lost me there. I don't know what that means. We don't put ketchup on pizza. Rick Gain, Alps Mustang Garage is doing a video series right now and converting a V8 from a 6-cylinder into a fastback. Okay. Thank you, Rick. Harvey checking in. Hello, Barry, from my backyard fire pit in New Jersey. Thank you for being here, Harvey. Appreciate it. Robert, I would like to build a 69 from scratch since it's easy to register as a reproduction and it's bigger and I fit in it better than the 65 to 66. That's valid. Now, I guess I don't know anything about the registering the stuff, but yeah, I mean, I would love to actually build another one like this, but I want to do it even in more pieces, if that makes sense. Like the dynacorn pan is great, but with my jig, I almost want to do a test run where I could take all of the pieces, the frame rails, the rear torque boxes, the transition panel, all of those pieces, and put it all together myself. Just because. Just because. I'm kind of twisted that way. But yeah, that would be fun. Rick Stevenson, I think it's CSRP, isn't it? The brake kit. I think it's CSRP, not CR. I think it's CSRP. I think, but you're correct. Those are the letters in there. I don't remember it being crisp, but I could be wrong. Art Fiberglass, I was wondering if you finished that Camaro you were working on. No, I have not. I do have plans to roll it back in here and get all the sheet metal done on it. This car right now is what I'm focused on. The Camaro is my car. This car belongs to somebody else, so I'm taking care of that first. Then I want to get the Camaro in, knock it out. Probably, and that's something I need to bring up at some point, because I've had people ask me about that car, what I was gonna do with it. And of course, I'm pretty positive I'm going to be selling it and not really do anything else. But that car also is they modified the firewall. If you go back and look at my other Camaro that I did, the black 68, I did a bunch of sheet metal work on it, and the person who bought it, they wanted the blocked off firewall where it had the heater box removed. That's fine. They sell firewalls where you can do it. Either you can do the standard firewall or you can do the one where it's blocked off. The firewall that's in this car, I think somebody just blocked it off themselves. And I'm not sure how they did it, if they did a good job or not. So that is something I'm also looking at, whether I want to fix that, put it back to the standard heater box, or leave it alone, or put in another firewall that is blocked off properly and nice and clean. So that is something I'll probably bring up in a future video when I'm starting to get back on a car, because if somebody wants to buy it, I want to help them and build it the way that they want it, not necessarily the way I want it. So, but thank you for asking. Appreciate that. Jerry checking in again. I did the 6-cylinder conversion on the hubs, disc brakes, and new springs and torsion bar. I found the V8 spindles from Kentucky Mustang. There you go. Thank you, Jerry. That's a great answer. Stefan, regarding the disc brake upgrade, I recommend Willwood Dynalite kit. Okay. Thank you, sir. Steve Reed, my 65 fastback had... Oh, sorry, my 65 fastback Mustang has original disc brakes on it. Well, that's cool. Don't see that very often. Derek Pro asked Dennis Collins. He seems to find all the cars sitting in barns you could ever want. He pays great prices, though. Yes, he does. You're right about that. Simone, Barry, have you ever had to give up on a project due to how rotten a car was, or did you keep going? I can't say that I don't think that I've given up on any of them. I jokingly said when I was working on the Brooklyn Pony, the 66 convertible, that I really just started with a pair of door hinges and built from there. That's how bad that car was. That car was actually probably worse, in a sense, than this Cobra Jet, because it was convertible and it was just, literally breaking in half when it showed up. But I don't know of any that I've personally given up on. If I can find the metal for it, I'll put it back together. And I've said it before, I like a challenge. I really do. I want to be challenged by stuff, and it allows me to think and be creative and put things back together, and it's very rewarding for me. So I really don't think I've given up on any in that sense. No. Good question, though. Thank you, Simone. Steve Reed, oh, sorry, that's the disc brake. And Robert, they inundate Craigslist and everywhere with posts looking to buy Mustangs. Yeah. Yeah, anymore it's hard to find. You have to kind of know where one may be. Now that I mention it, I may have to keep that a secret. I might know where there's a couple fastbacks right now, but I'm not going to mention that. No, no, no. It might be my access. Rick, in 1990, we destroyed a '69 Malkin fastback and turned it into a stock car. It was wrecked in the first race. Bad decision. Yes, that would be a bad decision. Yeah. Stephen Franks, hope you get on your 69 next, car shows and cruise-ins. Yeah. Well, I still have Jade that I can drive until I sell it. But yeah. Thanks, Steve. Steve Reed, I'm going to wait till later on getting one. Thanks anyways. Oh, talking about the tail, or the quarter panel. Okay, that's fine. Stefan, some people do put ketchup on pizza. I don't, but I've seen it done. I can't even wrap my mind around that, honestly. You know, because here in the States we just use a red sauce or an Alfredo sauce, and that's pretty much it. I've never heard of ketchup though, but you know, to each his own. Robert, I do have the hood hinges on to start with, unless I get them to you first. Yeah, well, thank you, Robert. Jerry, already all time for me to go and make the biscuits, and Robert to sit and have a drink that I furnish him. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you, Jerry. Glad you're here. Dave Britton checking in. Hello, Dave. I don't know what Dave number that is tonight, but glad you're here, Dave. Car Guy Troy, hello from Utah, checking in. Glad to hear Troy. Rick Gain, perhaps see if you can find a buyer for the Camaro before you begin working on it again. This way you can build it to order. Yeah, and that's kind of what I did with the other one. You know, I had it sold with the way it was, and then he wanted me to do some more work to it, and that's where I discovered when I was putting it together that the floor pan wasn't welded in correctly, and so he wanted me to do the firewall, and then I discovered that the floor pan was messed up, so I ended up fixing the floor pan too. But yeah, you're right. It would be nice to have somebody in line, and I may do that. I may advertise on my Facebook page that I'm going to be, you know, finishing up that Camaro, and then see if anybody has any interest in it. Roger has found the picture that we were talking about earlier, with the rusted piece of pipe, you know, the really bad welds. So check this out. So Roger, I dug out the Tony Stewart pick in the crappy Capri and sent it. So here we are. There you have it. That was, I don't know what year that was. It was back in the 90s. That was Tony Stewart before he hit it big in NASCAR, driving around in Roger's Capri, and you could see the orange bars right there in the front window opening and in the back of the car. And so that was part of this pipe. So yes, we have documentation of Tony Stewart driving around in an old beat up mini stock. But you know, he liked to drive anything. He didn't care. Let's see. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate that. Simone, I found another Cortina project on YouTube, but the firewall bulkhead floor pan is really rotten. He is determined to repair it when many say it should be scrapped. And that's the thing. There's a lot of times, I recently had a conversation with somebody. They had sent me some pictures on Facebook, and it was a 66 Mustang Coupe. And it was a sentimental car to him, and I understand that completely. But it needed everything. It needed floor pans. It needed quarter panels. It needed wheelhouses. It needed trunk pans. It needed a roof. It needed fenders. I'm sure it's going to need torque boxes. Well, it didn't have torque boxes up front, but I mean, it needed everything. and he had asked some shops to price him what it would cost to get it all the way to paint it and everything. And their pricing, they were talking $80,000 to rebuild his car and paint it. And he just couldn't justify that. So he had sent some pictures to me. And I had to be honest with him. I said, you're going to be invested in this way, way too much because it needs everything. And he was, debating what he wanted to do or what what route he wanted to take, if he could find another car and transfer the motor and stuff like that. And I said, you're going to be further ahead because I think the car was up in, the Rust Belt, in Illinois or somewhere up in that range. And it was bad. It was. And I just had to be honest with him. I said, you're going to spend way too much money on this car. Now, the Cortina, I don't know enough about that to know what kind of valuation they have down the road because I'm not familiar with those cars. They made millions, seemingly millions of Mustangs. I can walk across the road basically behind my house, and I know that there's a 65 or 6 sitting there, just rotting away, and the people won't get rid of it for whatever reason. And I've seen others sitting around. And, some are savable, some are just not, or at least not in my opinion. But I couldn't say to this guy, I'll fix this car up for you for X number of dollars, because I really don't know what that number would be. And it's just tough to make those decisions sometimes. But if this guy wants to save it and he could find the parts, well, then more power to him. Nick Moss checking in. Glad you're here, Nick. Hope all is well. Simone, an old friend of mine, would put ketchup on a roast dinner. Oh, yeah. No. I do have some friends who put mustard on everything. If it's a meat, they put mustard on it. Any kind of meat, mustard. Art Man, I'm supposed to be cleaning the house and catching up on chores, so obviously I came straight here after work. Awesome. Nick, he's a top fuel driver now. At least this will be his first year. Oh, really? Tony's gone to top fuel? Good for him. Less chance of people trying to kill him on the racetrack. So that, 94. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. 94-ish. Yeah, okay. Christian, what is the labor rate per hour there? Here's about $33. Okay, so when you say labor rate, that's a loaded question. We have to come to terms with what that really means. Depending on where you go, and I don't know what the cost of living is there versus here. I have no idea the comparison, so I can't tell you what $33 means in American value. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I have talked to a variety of shop builders similar to myself. Some have bigger shops, some have smaller shops, and I've seen pricing from a low, let's say, of about $55 an hour to I just talked to one shop. They're charging $95 an hour, $95 an hour, plus $15 an hour materials. So they're looking, 210, or 110, basically, for time plus materials combined. So I don't know of anybody who's doing this kind of work for less than $55 an hour. And that number is probably not going to last long. From the people I've talked to, they're already talking about going to 65. And so I've also seen shops that are charging 150. Some that are even charging more than that for their time and, that sort of thing. So again, I don't know what the comparison is. Like, is $33 equivalent, $33 an hour, is that equivalent to $60 an hour here? I don't know. I don't know how to adjust for that. But I can tell you those are numbers that I've seen, and super high end shops are charging way more than that. Like if they're SEMA quality, whatever car builders, they're probably charging well over $200 an hour, and that's I can't see it, but people are paying it. Good question, though, Stefan. Thank you. Terry Keithley, years ago I saw a fellow put ketchup on his pancakes along with syrup. I don't even want to think about that. Thank you, Terry. Dave Britton, my dad puts ketchup on everything, even on potato soup. Okay. Okay. We got to get off the condiments. Michael Pagliarini, there's a white 70 Mach 1 a few blocks from me. The car has been sitting close to 20 years now. The owner doesn't want to sell it, rusting away in his driveway. Yeah, he's so proud to have that car and watch it just go to waste. Yeah. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna send myself a picture here because there's a it drives us all crazy whenever somebody says, I'm gonna fix it up one day. I'm gonna fix it up one day, and one day never comes. I was looking at a what was it, Crosley? A Crosley that was, and not that it means much. It's just a Crosley. It's nothing special other than it's kind of rare to see such a thing. And I told the guy, I said, hey, would you be interested in selling that? And he's like, nope. I'm going to let it rot in the ground before I ever even take $1 million for it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I don't understand the logic. I know there's a lot of times that we get, sentimentally attached to these things. I get that. But some people just can't let go of things like that. They feel like, I guess they're maybe keeping the person with them that owned that car or something along those lines. And it's just a shame to know that some of these cars are just going to rot away. So this is a prime example of what it means when I'm going to fix it up one day. That's exactly what I think of when somebody says that. One day I'm going to fix it up. And that one day came, and that's what happened. And now you've got a VIN number, basically. But it's just sad to think about these cars just going to waste. It really is. Simone, the Mark IV Cortina he has is a rare wagon, a rare 2.3 V6 engine. Yeah, I know whenever, those cars are, I don't even know what to compare them to, if it's a Falcon or something along the Pinto side of things. But with a 4-cylinder engine, or 6-cylinder engine even, that's, we don't see anything like that over here anymore. Rick Gain, ketchup on scrambled eggs is not bad. I agree. Okay, so you bring that up. Here's something I do. Here's something I actually do. I make my wife makes maybe mac and cheese. I'll put ketchup on mac and cheese. Yep, I do. I've put ketchup on eggs before and not had a problem with it. But I put ketchup on mac and cheese. And then you can really go redneck and you cook up some hot dogs and cut them up into little slices. Mix that in your mac and cheese, throw some ketchup on, and you've got redneck spaghetti. Yes, I do that. Not very often, but I do. Nick, restoration or hot rod shops are about $80 to $100, give or take, around here anyway. Thank you, Nick. The Don, Barry, the value of that piece of pipe has just gone up, given you have historical proof that Tony Stewart could have banged his knee on that pipe. Yeah, you're right. Collectible now. We're gonna slice them up in little chunks, and just put Tony and label them 1 through 1,000, and you too can own a piece of a car that Tony Stewart rode in sometime in the mid 90s on a rainy night in North Georgia. Isaac O, good evening all. Barry, happy Monday. Glad you're here, Isaac. Robert, insurance, paint, and body prices have driven them all up. That is very true. That is very true. Troy, there's a guy rebuilding a 66 fastback on YouTube / TikTok that is literally the worst thing I've ever seen. Everything has rust holes in it. Literally everything. If it was free, it was too much. That sounds a lot like the convertible that I put together. But yeah. Rick, a friend just paid $150 an hour labor for somebody to replace wheel bearings on a Subaru Forester. Thank you, Rick. Shannon Vaughn, hi everyone. Late getting here, better late than never. Simone says, that sounds brave, Troy. Yeah. Dave Tyson, people, how much... wait. I'm not sure if I'm missing some words there, but I'm going to guess people don't know how much it costs to keep the light on, is my assumption. Dave, Barry, did you know you could order a Crosley from the Sears catalog back in the day? I think I'd heard that, but that was back in a long time ago. Stefan, to be more specific, here labor per hour is about 150 RON, $33, and regarding the way of living, a Corona beer is about $2. Okay, that's not bad. Now I don't know where that means, like where you get that Corona, but if you buy a Corona at a bar or restaurant here in the States, probably, depending on the bar, $4 to $8. That's the difference, as far as, a beer reference. Nick, I'll be honest, I kind of get it. Sometimes whatever the thing is they're hanging on to is all they have, memories or whatever. Yeah, I do too. That's why I have this 64 Studebaker sitting in my garage. I don't have it sitting outside though. I'm not letting it rot, but that's why I have that 64 Studebaker there. I mean, 80% of us or better have our cars because of memory attached to it. Yes, I agree. 69 saying we used to put ketchup on mac and cheese as kids. Yeah, well, I still do. Troy, hot dogs in your mac and cheese with salsa mixed in is the best. Might have to try that. Simone, have you ever tried HP sauce brown, really good in a bacon sandwich? I don't know what that is, so no. Christian, and today you just learned the true power of ketchup and how cool it is nowadays. Okay. Nick, man, how did the ketchup thing get started? It's so random. Yeah, well, Christian had sent me some information about him and his buddies over in Romania going and working on their Mustangs together and getting pizza. And somehow they put ketchup on their pizza. So that we just kind of went off that tangent for a little ways. Yeah, Dave Tyson says yes. Sorry. Rick Stevenson, HP sauce is very good on a burger. Now, I'm not sure what HP sauce is, but I'll go with it. And Simone says, yes, Rick. Okay. Isaac, mac and cheese ketchup. I appreciate your honesty. In Florida, we have Redneck Sunday, mac and cheese, baked beans, coleslaw, and pulled pork. Well, see, that's perfect. That's not even, that's like, yeah. I'll go for that any day. Let me know what time to show up. Nick, do we need to take a dinner break? You all sound hangry. Randall Heath, got to run and do some dry ice blasting for Hill Air Force Base. See you next week. Awesome. Glad you're here, Randall. And Isaac thought seriously about dry ice blasting. Yeah, I think I had somebody mention that on one of the Facebook forums, talking about the firewall. You're trying to get it maybe dry ice blasted. I have not seen anything blasted with dry ice, but I'm sure it does a great job. Obviously, it's not going to get hot, right? But I don't know enough about it. Christian, regarding the car scene and memories from childhood, I said I'm going to own a Rambler someday, paint it the same color as the one from Life with Louie. Now that I don't know what I'm not familiar with Life with Louie, but I'm okay with a Rambler. I like that. Ed Cucciarella, I was hungry. Michael, I was told by his neighbor it was his son's Mach 1 and he was killed in the station nightclub fire. I lost 3 good friends myself, so I understand it would make a good tribute car. Is that fire where the band was performing and the doors were all chained shut? Did we talk about that before? Because if that's yeah, I don't even want to think about that. If that's what we're talking about, I don't I've seen videos that are too disturbing on that. Simone, okay, I can't go anymore. I need to go to sleep. Thanks, Barry and chat. Have a good evening. All right, glad you're here, Simone. And Michael says yes, yeah. That's one of the most disturbing things I've kind of seen and heard. I don't even want to think about that. Christian, Life with Louie is an American animated series and sitcom created by Louis Anderson and Matthew O'Callaghan for the Fox Broadcasting Company. You know, I was thinking I had heard of it, but I probably never saw it, to be honest. Just probably never saw it. Troy, being an airplane mechanic, I'm surprised you aren't familiar with the dry ice blasting. They use it on aircraft to clean corrosion. I've never seen it. I mean, in the history with Delta, we did all the corrosion removal by hand. I've never seen it done out there. And maybe it's not in the corporate world. I don't know. Maybe they've changed. Because back in the 90s, this is one thing I really missed about when I was out there. Like, in the early 90s, I was doing full skin repairs, replacements on all kinds of planes. 767s, 757s, taking the belly skin off, fixing all the stringers, replacing everything, removing corrosion, reskinning the whole bottom of the plane. Really, really in-depth work. And over the years, Delta got away from that, unfortunately. And the big hangar we had out there, I still have my toolbox. And everybody had either a Proto or a Snap-on or a Mac, red toolbox. And we would put little bicycle flags, on our toolboxes so we could find them. There were literally hundreds, if not thousands, of toolboxes all across the hangars. And so you would work on these planes and you'd have to go find your toolbox and wheel it over and get to work and do your stuff, whatever. And over the years, that all kind of, that went away. Delta started contracting that out to other companies. And, before I left out there, there was that hangar. They're still bringing planes in, but they don't do heavy maintenance anymore. None of it. And there's no toolboxes out there. There's barely any people out there. And it's just so sad because, man, we used to be out there hammering away on these things. You'd hear grinders and rivet guns and just all kinds of equipment being used, and we'd hand make stuff. And that all just went away. I mean, that whole set of skills just kind of went away from it all. And it was just really sad. But I'd never seen them dry ice blast. At least not to my knowledge. So, anyway, kind of went off Delta story there. Robert Gurr, no exit row seat. Getting hangry again now. At least a window seat. Okay. Well, you get free drinks, right? So you can have some free drinks while you're there. Nick, man, that is an old cartoon now. Not Looney Tunes old, but old. I was a little guy when that was out. Cargo toy dry ice blasting is big in the food industry. Cleaning big ovens, etc. Used to sell cars to a company that was doing it in the oil and gas industry, cleaning oil rigs up in Wyoming. Okay. Nick, what was your coat of arms? Oh, on my flag, like a bunch of pirate flags. Oh, you could put. I don't remember. I think I just had like one of those fiberglass poles with like an orange flag on it. Just an orange triangle flag, and then you might put a number or something like that. Some people would put little American flags. Some people would put rebel flags. That would be just random stuff. Some might be a pirate flag. Some might be an NFL team or a baseball team or stuff like that. But there was a whole variety of that stuff. What's funny is I have way back when I have a video of in the early '90s where I was walking around filming, even back then, because I would film. I film in here all the time, but I used to film everything, my kids' sporting events and all that sort of thing, and it was it was always that I had a camera, so I'm kind of used to doing all that. Somebody's trying to send me. Hold on. Somebody's trying to send me something, but it's not working. Okay. Well, I have something else. I had let me see if what I can delete here. I had it. Another picture sent to me. So this is from the Dawn has sent me this. Hold on. And here we go. Speaking of ketchup. Where we have our Heinz 57 official NASCAR ketchup car. I don't know if they ever had a mustard car or not. That would be funny. Robert, HP sauce is kind of like a barbecue sauce-ish sauce. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Don. Okay. Yeah, that was a Pontiac too. So that had to be like 95, 96, something like that. I sure do miss older NASCAR. Nick, that'd make me quit racing. Well, you could be driving the, what was the chicken car? Burt Reynolds drove in the chicken suit. Isaac, I was looking into equipment for dry ice blasting. 100,000 just getting the machine. A lot of people are doing it. High-end detailing and classic cleaning. It works very well. Yeah, it should. If that's the cost of the equipment. Nick Moss, especially if it was mustard, and older NASCAR was so much better. Yes. Yeah, I quit watching like probably 10 years ago. I just quit. I haven't watched one race. I might see a highlight sometime if there's a big crash. Might be the only thing that draws my attention anymore. I know they're yeah. Let's not go down that path. They've totally changed everything that NASCAR stood for, and it's like nah. Robert is saying Mr. Cluck. Was that the name of the chicken company? I don't remember the name of the chicken company. What was the name of that movie now? Now we're going off a different tangent. Burt Reynolds driving a race car in a chicken suit. I can't remember that. What was the name of the movie? Somebody has to bring it up. I know Roger knows. There we go. Stroker Ace. Yes. Thank you, Troy. Now I need to go watch that movie. You know, a few weeks back when I had my surgery, I was watching, went and found WW and the Dixie Dance Kings, and I watched Hooper, and I think it was something else. But I need to go back and watch. Now I need to go back and watch Stroker Ace. Yeah. Funny movie. Really, really can't complain about it. They were doing they were having lots of fun back then with those movies. And in fact, I've mentioned it before. Today, yeah, you have some really cool chase scenes and stunts and all that sort of thing. But back then, they did a lot of crazy stuff. and like there was no CGI. It was just reckless abandon making some of these movies. Mason, what's that fan noise in the background? Oh, you know what? Let me move that. Let me move the mic a little closer to me. How about that? I just realized that's the fan from the laptop. Hopefully that helps. I had trouble with it before, where I had to move it away because somebody was hearing some weird sounds. So I did that, and it kept getting further away. So now it may be picking up the fan for the laptop. So I don't think I have any way to block that off. Yeah. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mason. Glad you're here. Mason, I've been doing good. Been busy working. Awesome. Nick, let's see. I watched that like 3 weeks ago. I watched Smokey and the Bandit on YouTube, and a bunch of his movies popped up in a row. Yeah. I mean, those were just the best movies. I tried finding Cannonball Run the other day, and I found Cannonball, the movie, which was David Carradine, and it was, but it wasn't Cannonball Run. Wasn't as good. Robert thought that was interference from the plane. Sorry, Nick. You need a boom for that sucker. Yeah. I don't know where I'd put it though. I'd look all weird having it like, hey, blah 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 blah. Roger, I watched Hooper last week on Prime since someone brought it up a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Has Joe Daddy's Garage seen the movie American Graffiti? I have, but it's been a while. One of the movies that you rarely see that I would like to see again is Two Lane Blacktop. You rarely see that movie anymore. Hold on just a second. Had somebody messaging me. Gotta take care of all the people. Robert, Night All About to Taxi. Oh, okay. Thank you, Robert. Glad you're here. Mason, I've been trying to find it on DVD. Movie kind of hard to find. Yeah, I'm not sure where it's available. Nick thought you turned into a vampire. Blah blah blah. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Dawn says he sent me another. Hold on a second. It's not showing up yet. It's not showing up yet. Nick, unfortunately, I have to go. So good night, guys. Glad you're here, Nick. Appreciate that. Hey, you know what's funny is now that I have this acts as a reverb thing. I get an echo effect from that. I don't know where it's at, Dawn. Hold on a second. It's not showing up. I'm hitting reload. Yeah, I'm not sure what you sent. Okay, Nick says, I give up, bye. Okay. Dawn says, good night from Dawn's Manufactory. All right. Paxton, I didn't know you're here, Dawn. You haven't made an announcement. I don't think so, but I'll give you a bell for being here. Paxton Smith, my parents have a 68 inline 6 Mustang. What all would be required to put a V8 in it? Frame box, rear end. Okay. Hold on just a second. Clark Clifford says, I'm here. You may begin. Thank you, Clark. Save the neck for you. Paxton. So if you have an inline 6-cylinder Mustang, basically you got to change. Some people don't, but you really need to change out the spindles on the front suspension. You have to put in heavier springs to support the weight of the engine. So you might as well upgrade, put better brakes in it, stuff like that. We had gone through this earlier tonight with another person, but essentially upgrade the brakes, the spindles, and in the rear. And by doing that, you'll go to a 5-lug wheel instead of the 4-lug. Just makes it better, bigger, stronger. And if you go to the rear, then I would get the a differential, different rear axle. You can get it, nothing huge. You don't need anything unless you're putting in some sort of race car engine. If you're just putting in a standard V8, you could put in just about any 5-lug rear end from like a 67 or 8 Mustang. So Dawn pointed out that V8 steering. So there's probably going to be some variance there, yeah, where you got to change out the steering arms and the let's see, the drag length, tie rod may all be variable. I'm not 100% sure on all of that, but anyway, so you're going to have to at least do the spindles and the springs, and as Dawn has said, put in the V8 steering as well. So thank you, Dawn. And motor mount brackets, yes, obviously, yes, motor mount brackets as well. Okay. Oh. So I got another another picture to post. Let me do away with this one, and we'll add this one from Dawn. Since we're talking about hot dogs and ketchup and mac and cheese and everything else, you have to have the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. I think there's, 4 of those? If I remember correctly, they built 4 of those. I think. I don't remember exactly. Art Fiberglass. I tried sending a message to your Facebook, text sent, but couldn't send a photo. Okay. Yeah, I think I did get a text message on the Facebook, but yeah, it's not sending it. So you can send it to my email if you wanted to, joedaddysgarage@gmail.com. If you want to send it there, that's the easy way. Rick, with regard to 6-cylinder versus V8, 6-cylinder spindles have 4 lugs. 8-cylinders has 5. Yeah, well, the spindles, I mean, the wheel, yes, is a 4 and 5 lug. The spindle itself is different sizes. Yeah, the spindles are smaller on the 4 lug, on the 6-cylinder. Dawn says clutch arm is shorter. So if you're going with a stick shift. Paxton, awesome. I wrote all that down. What Ford V8s would you recommend? Keep it simple with the 289 or throw something else? There's nothing wrong with the 289, 302. Some people will put an engine from like a mid 80s or 90s pickup truck or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's all, just keep it simple. Steve Reed says idler arm. So you have to look at all that stuff. Basically, whatever V8 stuff would have been in it, like steering box, steering arms, all that stuff, you have to make sure it's compatible. Don also says any 289 302 is a great fit. Yep, goes in very nice. Steve Willett, glad to hear Steve. Better late than never. I agree. Michael says, hey Barry, checking in from Kentucky. Glad to hear Michael. Dawn is saying V8 bell housing and trans. So keep that in mind as well. The bell housing will be different. And upgrade the trans while you're at it. Art says, okay, we'll do. Terry Keithley, so in 2006, my $18 per hour to do a 63 Galaxy XL500 convertible was too low. Complete restoration. Yeah. Well, I mean, 2006, that might not have been too bad, but yeah, that's too low at this point for sure. C&J Hoyt, you could run the 4-lug rear end until you tear the spider gears out also. That is true. Okay, Dawn says the steering box is the same. Paxton, so many people tell me the new engine will rip the V6 frame apart. Never really sure exactly what they meant. No, it won't. It's the same chassis. The body, everything's the same. The frame rails, all that's the same. That's not the concern. It's the weight of the car on the suspension that has to be addressed, and then anything that interacts with the steering, so it doesn't hit the oil pan, that sort of thing. But yeah, upgrade the brakes, upgrade the steering, make sure you got the right transmission set up. It'd be a good time to put in an overdrive transmission if you can find one. If you're going that far, just do it all. Make it more roadworthy. The Dawn says, good night. Gotta go. Good night, all. Great time, Barry. Thanks. Great progress on the Mach 1. Thank you. Appreciate that. Car Guy Troy, all the steering is different V8 to 6-cylinder. Spindles on the 65 and 6 are different, but 67 and 68 have the bigger spindles and 5-lugger end / front hubs. 65 to 66 takes more to swap over than the later car. Thank you for that, Troy. Appreciate it. Dawn, chances are the 6-cylinder body is in better shape. That is, yes, I agree. And Steve Willett, add torque boxes if they aren't installed. Yeah, that is the way to do it. Steve Reed, steering box is the same, but the arm of the steering box is different. Okay. Well, thank you, Steve. These are some things that I don't really keep up with because I haven't done a conversion from a 6-cylinder to a V8, but all of that makes sense. So, good input from all of you. Again, that is why we have these question and answer sessions, so people like you can help out people like Paxton. Paxton, guess what I'm battling is, would it be cheaper to change a total V6 car to a V8 or just start with a lower quality V8? And he says the body is mint. The inline 6 just feels like a lawnmower. It's up to you, honestly. A lot of people are doing that swap. You're going to pay more for the V8 car. The only problem you have with running or starting with a 6-cylinder car is if you plan to sell it in the future. Yes, it would sell for maybe a little more, but it's not a true V8 car. Even if you swap everything out, the VIN number will say that it was a 6-cylinder car. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you're just going to drive this car and enjoy it, do whatever you want with it, honestly. I don't see a lot of people seeking out 6-cylinder cars to build as a 6-cylinder car. There's not a lot of that. And that may actually increase the value at some point because less of them will be around. But on the other hand, it's hard to find a good V8 car for the right price. So if you've already got one, it's up to you on that. I don't see a problem with it, but it is what it is. Christian, just thought about this. Are the front coils the same on a V8 and inline 6 because the inline 6 is a little lighter? No, the coils are different. You definitely have to swap out the coil springs too. Dawn, 6 to 8 is the Betsy story. Yes. Michael, help people like me. Yes. Troy, Paxton, if the car is solid, it's not crazy money to do the swap. Swap it and have fun. Yep. Jerry says, I kept the 6-cylinder, just hot rodded the engine, T5 trans, 373 Explorer cut down. Yep. There's nothing wrong with that. And Michael, I have a V6 in my 96 F-150, and I love it. Okay. Again, nothing wrong with that either. These are all great questions. Great questions. It's nice to have all the input from everybody helping out and trying to, solve problems for everybody. And I'm sure there's information you could probably find online too if you're looking for a detailed swap over. But at least this gets the ball rolling in whatever direction you may want to go. So, okay, I'm getting to the point where I need to call it a night. It's been great being here tonight. We've had some great questions, interactions, questions, answers. All that stuff has been really good. but I need to go and get something to eat. I've got to get some food in me. So again, stay tuned for the next video. The next one will be working on these front aprons and getting those squared away, and hopefully I can get everything done this week. Get the aprons, core support, the bracing in the front done, and all these little brackets and stuff. I will be doing more test fitting with the fenders, making sure everything lines up. As I always say, test fit, test fit, test fit. But that's that'll be the next video in the sequence. So once again, thanks for being here, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.